It begins with the film, right? Until there's the storytelling, there isn't the reaction.
I got computer vision software that was supposed to track my face.
A woman's pleasure is not a novelty.
How can we keep these girls from putting themselves in harm's way? The only answer was this club.
Get yourselves ready for a turbulent election.
If you don't fight for your life, you won't have a life.
Hello, and welcome to the AFI Docs member preview event. I'm Claire Kiklowicz, Director of Individual Giving at AFI, and I'm thrilled that you all have joined us to learn more about this year's AFI Docs. For many of you, you've been attending the festival since the very beginning, and for some of you, this will be your first time. We welcome everyone, and we're so appreciative of your ongoing member support. Thank you. First, I want to introduce quickly someone that many of you know, my colleague, Nicole Alvarez.
Hi everybody, my name is Nicole Alvarez. I am your individual giving coordinator. I'm here for all your questions and needs regarding your membership during AFI Docs this year. Please send me an email if you have any questions at all at membership@afi.com. Look forward to hearing from you.
Thanks, Nicole. This evening, you'll hear firsthand from the Docs programmers who will help guide your festival experience. We have a powerful slate of films, and they can help direct you to what you're most interested in. If you have questions throughout the program, how we're accepting those is we've disabled the chat, but we have a Q&A feature. And so at the very bottom of your screen, you'll see Q&A, and you can ask questions at any time in the program. We'll keep track of them. At the very end, we'll come back around to them and answer them live. The other kind of cool thing about the Q&A is you can upvote someone's question. So if you have the same question, we'll be able to see what the most popular questions are. And now it's my pleasure to introduce you to the Director of AFI Festivals, Michael Lumpkin.
Thanks, Claire, and thanks for everybody for being here today. Many of you have been to AFI Docs, and I know that some of you have not. So quickly, what AFI Docs is the American Film Institute's annual festival of documentary cinema that takes place in Washington, D.C. each June. And of course, this year, we will unfortunately not be on the ground in Washington, D.C., but one good outcome of that is that we'll be online, virtual, to anyone in the United States. So for those of you that are not in the DC area, this is your opportunity to get a taste of what AFI Docs is. Getting to this virtual festival was very interesting. We've been planning the festival since January, and then going into February, we're starting to confirm films, and then late February, early March, when the coronavirus started, spreading around the globe, we hit pause. We were not sure where this was headed, and we're not sure what kind of festival we would be able to present in June. We went through a lot of different scenarios. We planned a smaller festival, and kind of other ways to be able to adjust. But as we got deeper into March, we realized that it just was not going to be in theaters this year, that would not be a good thing to plan, or probably not a good thing to do in June. And so from that point, we started building a virtual online festival, which is the festival that opens next week. In a lot of ways, this year's festival looks like previous festival. It's 5 days. This year we have 59 films. And there are a lot of aspects of the festival that look and feel like a real film festival, with new films being scheduled each day. And then there are also some great things about being a virtual festival is that you can watch films at any time. So, we had an advantage because we were in March and our festival was in June, and we had time to to pivot, to be able to adjust to a different kind of festival, unlike some of our colleagues who ran other festivals that were slated to be in March and April and May, and many of those have had to cancel, postpone, but we were also getting deeper into our program and watching the films that filmmakers were making this year and releasing this year. And we realized that there were so many great stories and so many important films. And also there was way too much going on in the world. We felt like the world needed to hear from documentary filmmakers. So we knew early on as well that for us, canceling, postponing was just not an option. What we have ended up with is a really great program of 59 films, and actually our most diverse program ever. 61% of our films are directed by women, 25% directed by people of color, 14% by LGBTQ directors, and 64% were produced by women. Let's take a look at some of those films.
Come on, Mama, time to get up. Morning, baby. Come on. All right. Noah. Time to get up, Noah. I've been doing this for 22 years. I have all different types of families in my daycare. I have some that comes in at 6 o'clock in the morning that works to 8:30 at night. I have some that comes from 3:30 to 12:30 at night. I have some that comes in overnight. I see a lot of parents come in and break down. They don't want to do this, but they need to go out and work and pay their bills and take care of their family.
All right, I'll see you later. All right, baby, have a good day. Be careful.
This is the way the world is set up at this point.
I work on the night shift in a pediatric emergency room from 7 p.m. to 7:30 a.m. I never really thought of overnight childcare until I had to use it.
What?
I've been working 7 days for almost 2 months. If I'm not working one job, I'm working another job. So I'm always working and working. Hi, Mommy. Luna's like my other mom. She helped me a lot.
Hey, people used to have kids. You know I have a house full of kids. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Love you guys very much. I see you Monday. I have a Diana, but I don't think you're her bus. Chase, my grandson, yes. Your grandson? My grandson. I didn't know he was going to be on the bus today. Yes. Yes, that's mine.
It's not just a job.
Turn your sheet over.
This is really our life. My whole family has to be involved. My children, ever since they was the age of 2 years old, they had to share me with other children. I remember my children saying, Mommy, why do they have to come first?
Mommy!
As parents, you make sacrifices. It's not their fault that I work the way that I work, so I just do what I can. It's not easy, but, you know, eventually I'll sleep.
Do we love each other?
Yeah.
I didn't hear you.
Yeah.
Do we love each other? Yeah.
I'm a daycare provider, so I'm constantly picking up babies. And
then you have to be careful. If you continue to have numbness, you need surgery.
This work is hard. I don't want to stop doing what I'm doing because I feel like if I lay down, I'm so tired I might not get back up.
I'm 78 years old now, and I have the body of a 40-year-old man. that fair? Not really. We accept it, but it's really strange. Our brains allow us to be humans.
Mimi kuzaliwa kwangu nilizaliwa mwaka wa 1925. Mimi hata sijui huko kwanza vibaya kwake. Sasa wanasema ni mimi ni mchawi, nimewaroga. Na mimi nililia sana sana tena.
Na message kwa Facebook group, kazi zangu wakaanza kusema na mzee katika familia yanaua watoto wenzake.
We had a priest who came round here and prayed for this house. He said there is an old woman there and she's the cause, she's the reason for all these problems.
Wajua sasa tulikuwa tumesema tuwaite wale wao waje tukae tuzungumze. Lakini hawataki, wanataka huyo muombezi tu aje amaite. That's what they wanted.
Tiriwa baya akosa phanga temwe haya ti abuke malazi ha sikano ba ziremzi
hapa kwetu saa shamba ndio ambao watoto wanaipenda sana. Ino barua ino beandikwa zusi haha.
Onyo.
Unasikia sasa?
Any guesses out of 11,000 people that have served in the United States Congress, how many women of color have served?
There is this assumption that Black people don't vote, that Latinos are not American citizens, that Asian Americans are Republicans, and that young people are wholly unreliable.
I want you to understand that who I am is a product of a movement.
There are not enough people on the inside that look like me.
People aspiring to be leaders in this country, they need to go through women of color because we're making our voices known.
When I say I'm a social justice seeker, I'm a mama for justice, or all these things, that's where I'm saying I'm American. I don't need to say it. I act like an American.
Candidates do not normally talk to people in the Asian American community because, historically speaking, we are the community that turns out to vote at the lowest rates. So we want to change that here today.
Cái cô kia cô không có ở nhà, bác gái có muốn đi bầu hôn với con dẫn đi bây giờ luôn.
We're no longer asking for permission to do what we need to do. We're going to do it, and we're going to lead from the top, and people need to see it.
The sort of traditional notions of what's possible in American politics are being challenged every day.
Elections are important, but our lives are on the line. Elections are
Sisters and brothers, it's about building power in our community to win doing what is right.
Except the communities that need to be brought in reflect the new American majority. They're young, they're brown, they might speak another language.
And there's a lot of us.
I'm excited about the fact that women of color are now coming into our own, that we're standing up and taking our rightful place in the pantheon of leadership, that we're changing what the face of leadership looks like.
It is a new day, there's a new coalition, and ultimately we're going to push this country forward because there's more of us than those that seek to do us harm.
To give you a sense of the structure of the festival and this year's program and how and when you can see the films you want to see, please welcome Eric Moore from our programming department.
Hello, thank you, Michael. Hello, everybody. My name is Eric Moore. I'm the manager of programming operations here at AFI Docs. And I'm here to tell you a little bit about the film sections and about how you can watch these movies. Our scheduled sections this year are special presentations, feature films, cinema's legacy, episodic, and our short films. We also offer conversations and the AFI Docs Forum. Some of these films are available throughout the festival and others are available for 24 hours, and then others are available for very specific windows of time. Following many of the films, there are Q&As, which are notated whether you can watch them live or if they're pre-recorded. So going into the sections, our special presentation section features our opening, centerpiece, and closing night films. This section spotlights the highest profile and most anticipated films of the festival. These are one-time only screenings unlocked at specific times each day of the festival. And if they're sold out, limited tickets unlocks may be made available at different points. So check back if you haven't seen those. Our feature films this year is a diverse selection of original, enlightening, and daring explorations of people around the world and in the US. Many screenings here are the first time that they've been screened anywhere else, so we're lucky to have them here. These are available for 24-hour viewing starting June 18th to the 21st, with a new slate of films available each day of the festival. Our short films are curated from hundreds of entries, and this year's short films highlight unique voices from around the world and are presented in 4 different programs. These programs are available for viewing throughout the entire festival starting on the 18th. Cinema's Legacy presents beloved classics and forgotten treasures. This year's AFI Docs edition of Cinema's Legacy focuses on the fight for full participation and access to our country's political system. These are also available for viewing the entire festival starting on the 18th. Then we have our episodic section. These are projects that allow you to either binge or you can take one episode at a time. These are multi-part documentaries that take a deeper dive into a political action in the United States, then and now. And we're lucky that these are also available throughout the entire festival starting the 18th. We have one more section that is Women in the Vote. This is a subsection of our film program, and it celebrates the 100th anniversary of the passage of the 19th Amendment, guaranteeing the protection of women's constitutional right to vote. We feature 8 films, historical and contemporary, that spotlight women who are leading the fight to expand and secure voting rights for all, and their achievements in gaining full participation for women at all levels of the American political system. So those are our sections. Many of these films are eligible for our Audience Award. These are notated on the virtual screening pages for each of the films. So once you complete viewing the films, you'll be able to cast your vote that way. If you have any questions about that, just send us an email if it's unclear. Our conversations section showcases deeper discussions for 3 projects, Akashinga and She Could Be Next, and Down and Out in America, which is tied to our Guggenheim Symposium honoring filmmaker and actor Lee Grant. These are held at specific times on Friday and Saturday accordingly. Then finally, our AFI Docs Forum, which starts on the 17th and goes through the 21st. Over the course of the festival, the AFI Docs Forum presents a multitude of networking and professional development opportunities for filmmakers, industry professionals, and audiences with a passion for nonfiction storytelling. So that's a lot, I know. So please check the schedule for availability of our films and programs, which is online at docs.afi.com. And now our programming team will dig deeper into these sections. So back to you, Michael.
Thanks, Eric. So I want to give you a brief survey of our special presentations. These are films that are screening every night of the festival at an appointed time. First, our opening night, Wednesday, June 17th, Boys State, directed by Jesse Moss and Amanda McBain. This is a great documentary, touching and kind of eye-opening as well. It's about high school students who come, gather every year in every state, and they're basically putting together a government over several days. So it gives you, watching these young adults figuring out elections and parties and electing people to run their government. It's a delightful film, and a film that's very relevant to what's going on today in our country. At the other end of the festival, Sunday, June 21st, our closing night screening is Jimmy Carter, Rock and Roll President, directed by Mary Wharton. This is a film about President Jimmy Carter and gives you an insight into Jimmy Carter that you may not know. I didn't know about his love for music and the important role that music played in his getting to the White House. There are just musician after musician that's in the film, both interviewed today and in great, archival concert footage. And, I feel like we know Jimmy Carter from his presidency to now because he's very active and doing a lot of great work still. But this gives you an insight to what brought him to the presidency. A very entertaining film. Centerpiece is The Fight, Friday, June 19th. This is a documentary about the American Civil Liberties Union and the attorneys who work to fight, that are fighting on certain case areas, cases that have been brought in the last 3.5 years. So it's a really kind of great insight into how the ACLU does its work and kind of the hard work the attorneys do to, bring cases to court to change how our country is run, some of these going all the way to the Supreme Court. On Thursday, we had Portraits and Dreams on June 18th, directed by Elizabeth Barrett and Wendy Awald. This is a beautiful documentary film about photography in Appalachia. It's the story of a photographer who went to Appalachia to teach photography to young people there, and in the film, she's coming back decades later to revisit the children she taught, and so you get a picture of what they were doing when they were learning photography. You see their photographs, and you catch up with them now and see, what photography meant to them as students and what it means to them now. It's a beautiful film. Saturday, June 20th, we have Rebuilding Paradise by Ron Howard. This is a powerful documentary that's about the Paradise Fire, Paradise, California, and the fire that devastated that town in 2018. This film is not so much about the fire itself, but it's about how the community came together and how they rebuilt their lives after the fire. It's a very touching film. And also, this screening on June 20th will actually be the first time that the citizens of Paradise will see the film. So they'll be joining us at AFI Docs virtually to see Rebuilding Paradise. So that is a look at our special presentations. And now to give you an overview of our feature films, Ken Jacobson.
Thank you, Michael. And I'm really pleased to be with you today. I'm Ken Jacobson, Senior Documentary Programmer, AFI Festivals. And as Michael alluded, we have a great lineup of feature films available for 24 hours. And I wanted to just give you a sprinkling of a few of these, a couple on each day. So on Thursday, the 18th, We have a light, funny, I think pretty delightful film called Dads by Bryce Dallas Howard, which is having its virtual US premiere at AFI Docs. And it is a great film in the spirit of Father's Day. And yes, there is another AFI Docs director in the film, Ron Howard, who makes an appearance. On a more serious note, also playing on Thursday the 18th, we have a documentary called 1,000 Cuts, directed by Ramona Diaz. This film is one of many AFI Docs films that's extremely timely. The film focuses on Maria Ressa, who is a very well-known journalist in the Philippines who founded a digital website called Rappler. And it really explores kind of the chilling events that happen when you're a journalist reporting on the president and suddenly you become the story after he starts shouting about fake news and turns all his attention and the power of the state on you, and you're facing possible charges and imprisonment. And in fact, Maria is, her case is about to come to a head this Sunday night. And so we'll be following that case. And later in the AFI Docs, we will be having on Friday morning, as part of the AFI Docs Forum, a panel discussion with Maria Ressa and director Ramona Diaz, hosted by the Washington Post. On Friday the 19th, I wanted to spotlight a couple of films. There's a film by DC-based filmmaker Yi Chen called First Vote. It's also part of our informal series, Women in the Vote. And what Yi does is she takes her camera on the road during the 2018 midterm elections and really introduces us to an interesting cross-section of politically engaged Asian Americans who are kind of on all sides of the political spectrum, and really kind of focuses on a group that is obviously an important and growing part of American society, but was for many decades excluded from full participation in the American political system. It's an observational film though, and I think Yi's filmmaking approach is very much in the spirit of kind of direct cinema. So I found it to be a very refreshing film. We have another film that takes a historical approach. AFI Docs is known for its historical documentaries, and this year we are pleased to be featuring the virtual world premiere of Unladylike 2020, which is based on it's a sample actually of a PBS American Masters multi-platform series. And in that series, over 200 women, many whose stories are not very well known, are discussed. And this is, the film we're showing takes 5 of those stories and uses, great interviews with female historians to really bring to light these female leaders and trailblazers whose stories really are just not as well known as they should be. On Saturday, we've got a film called Frida Got a Gun, which is also a virtual world premiere at Docs, directed by Chris McKim. And this film focuses on New Orleans bounce legend, Big Frida. And it's really Frida's personal story of growing up in New Orleans and, having dreams of becoming, a musical icon. And what happens later when, Frida's personal story turns tragic because her brother becomes a victim of gun violence. And so Frida goes back to New Orleans to really, not only tell her brother's story, but kind of tell the broader story of gun violence in New Orleans and seek some answers. Very touching story. And there's a great pre-recorded Q&A with Big Frida that is included with that film. Another film on Saturday that I wanted to highlight is called One Life. And this film focuses on the Rohingya population of Myanmar, which has been largely forced through violent oppression by the military in Myanmar to leave the country and become refugees in neighboring Bangladesh. It's a story that was, has been in the news in the past, but because of the pandemic and the mass protests against racism in the United States, it's one of those stories that's kind of become put on the back burner. And I think that this film really does a great job of telling the specific stories of the Rohingya in the refugee camp, talking about really the heroic role of the UN in feeding and housing refugees throughout the world, and focuses on the US's role in what happened and is happening to the Rohingya. Another film that I would point out on Saturday is Coded Bias. This film has also been in the news recently. It focuses on facial recognition programs and digs deep into the issue of whether these software programs have a built-in gender and racial bias. And it's really a fascinating portrait of the kind of the science and the social issues behind facial recognition software. Two films on Sunday, our closing day. Through the Night, which you saw the trailer of, directed by Lloyda Limbaugh, focuses on a 24-hour daycare center and two really heroic characters, Dolores Nunu is her nickname, and Patrick Pop Pop Hogan. And they run a 24-hour daycare center. And the film really is an intimate portrait of what it's like, especially for Nunu, to run this center and take care of these children, and how, how difficult it is, because running a daycare center is something that, it's just involves so much love, sweat, and tears. And I just found it to be a very moving story. Finally, I just wanted to point out another film, Sing Me a Song, directed by documentarian Thomas Balmas, who made the films Babies and Happiness. And this is an interesting story of how the filmmaker returns after 10 years to the remote mountainside Tibetan village where he once met a precocious 8-year-old Tibetan monk, and they kind of strike up this relationship again. And what the filmmaker discovers is how much has changed as a result of technology, and specifically the smartphone. So that's just a smattering of our films in our feature film section. And now I would like to throw it to our shorts programmer, Adam Perone. Adam?
Hi, thanks, Ken. Hi, everyone. My name is Adam Perone. I'm the AFI Docs short film programmer. Yeah, kind of similar to what Ken had done, I'd like to give you a couple recommendations for some films that are playing throughout our different short film programs. In Shorts Program 3, San Diego by Laura Hinman is a pretty great, and also I would say is probably the most recent and kind of most urgent doc that's happening, or that is in the program right now. It specifically looks at Native American communities within Southern California, and specifically how a lot of these communities are dealing with a lot of their different seasonal festivals, powwows, as well as activism. It specifically looks at it through the lens of social media and how that is playing a part in terms of how a lot of these communities are connecting with each other. In Shorts Program 1, Mizuko by Kira Dane and Caitlin Rebello is a very moving and a very beautifully animated documentary that looks specifically at one of the filmmakers returning to Japan and going there specifically for a Buddhist ritual to mourn an abortion that she had earlier. It's a very interesting look at a specific slice of that culture, specifically within Buddhism within Japan, specifically because it also gives a look at the issue of abortion, but from a completely different view within how it's sort of polarized within the US. In Shorts Program 2, All That Perishes at Edge of Land by Hiranabi. It's a documentary from Pakistan that looks specifically at a shipbreaking yard and the laborers that work there. It's it's gorgeously shot. It is, it's incredibly moving too. And it's a very, I think, urgent portrait of the effects of globalism and specifically exploitation of labor within Southeast Asia. It, yeah, I can't recommend that film enough. It's incredibly moving and beautiful, and it, yeah. Another in Shorts Program 4, Huntsville Station by Jamie Meltzer and Chris Filippone. It's a very moving look at the carceral system, and specifically a lot of the hidden trauma that it inflicts on men that are leaving that system, specifically them transitioning back into normal civilian life, and just specifically like them adjusting to that space as well. And again, too, that is in Shorts Program 4, and I can't recommend these films enough, as well as all of the different the Shorts programs. All the Shorts programs as well are also followed by Q&As with the filmmakers. And with that, I would like to pass it on to my colleague, Malene Khan. Malene, it's all you.
Thanks, Adam. Hi, everyone. My name is Malene Khan, and I am going to tell you about the 3 films that comprise our Cinema's Legacy section. The first one is Freedom on My Mind. This 1994 Academy Award-nominated documentary directed by Connie Field and Marilyn Mulford is a powerful account of the Mississippi Voter Registration Project and the Black activists and white allies who from 1961 to 1964 traveled to the South determined to register Black voters. The film is constructed primarily of archival footage and features powerful renditions of traditional Black folk songs. It's beautiful, devastating, and incredibly important to watch at this particular moment in history when the lyrics of the song that were reframed by Angela Davis, "Freedom is a constant struggle," resonate all too clearly. Another film in this section is Sisters of 77. This is a 2005 film directed by Cynthia Saltzman-Mondel and Alan Mondel, and it's another wonderful film to revisit today in honor of the centennial of the ratification of the 19th Amendment. This film provides a privileged look inside the fascinating 1977 National Women's Conference, presided over by Congresswoman Bella Abzug. Moving swiftly from topic to topic, it really gives us the opportunity to see the beginning of many of the conversations we're still having today about gender equality and intersectionality in politics. And lastly, we are incredibly proud to be presenting the 4K Indie Collect restoration of Nation Time Gary. This film was drastically cut before its original broadcast, but now we are finally able to see the restored original vision of the late prolific documentarian of African-American politics and culture, William Greaves. And taking us again inside a political convention, this time the National Black Political Convention in Gary, Indiana in 1972, this incredibly poetic account includes many important fixtures of Black politics, including a very young Reverend Jesse Jackson, Dick Gregory, and Coretta Scott King, with Amiri Baraka's poetry recited throughout by Harry Belafonte. All 3 films are available and free to unlock from the 18th to the 21st, as well as Q&As for each film and a Cinema's Legacy panel. And now I would like to introduce our senior programmer, Sarah Harris, who will present our episodic section. Sarah?
Hello. So yes, episodics. Thanks everybody for being here. Our episodic section is 3 titles, and as was brought up earlier, you can decide to binge or watch in particular episodes. The first one I'll talk about is And She Could Be Next, which you saw in the trailer, following the historic stories of 6 women of color who are seeking political office. This featuring Stacey Abrams' governor's race, 3 battles for the U.S. House. And this particular episodic title will only be available on Saturday, June 20th. And there will actually be a live discussion with the filmmakers and some of the subjects on Saturday, 3:30 Eastern Time. Again, this is listed on the website on AFI Guide, so you can check back that. And it is a 2-part series. City So Real is another episodic film. It's from the legendary Steve James, which you might know from Hoop Dreams and The Interrupters. Just such an amazing filmmaker. This is his latest work, his latest project, miniseries of the Chicago mayoral race and the candidates as they campaign across the multifaceted neighborhoods. There's currently 4 parts to this, but I believe he's actually still shooting it. This will be screening June 18th through the 21st. So when you buy a ticket for any of these episodics, you will get to unlock all of the episodes. So if you buy a ticket or sign up for an Unlocked for City of So Real, you will get all 4 episodes and Q&As if they're recorded. Our third episodic is The Vote, which is a comprehensive look at the decades-long struggle to enfranchise women with the right to vote, which is during this 100th anniversary of the ratification of the 19th Amendment. Shows the complex alliances, radical efforts, and the persistence of women in this fight. It's 2 episodes and we'll be screening June 18th through the 21st. So that's it for episodic. And now I'm going to turn it back to our director, Michael, to talk a little bit about the Guggenheim.
Great, thank you, Sarah. So the real heart and soul of AFI Docs is the Guggenheim Symposium, where each year we honor a master documentarian by looking at their work and with a conversation. And a number of great filmmakers have been honored at the symposium over the years. Spike Lee, Frederick Weissman, Alex Gibney, Laura Poitras, Frida Lee-Mock, and Jonathan Demme. This year we're honoring Lee Grant. And Lee Grant is perhaps known more as an actress. She came into film in the early 50s from Broadway. Her first film, she was nominated for an Academy Award, Detective Story. And very soon after that, she was blacklisted. She was part of the Hollywood blacklist. And so for 12 years, she did not work. But she did come back, and again, she made quite a splash in Hollywood. She started making films again, and she received the Oscar for her role in Shampoo. What a lot of people don't know about Lee Grant is in the 1980s, actually in the 70s, she started directing. And she was looking for kind of what she was going to do with her career in the film industry, and she actually took a class at AFI. The first year of the directing workshop for women that was launched in '74, Lee Grant was a member of that first class. And from there, she started directing films, fiction and nonfiction. And we're going to be looking at her documentary work. She made several films in the 80s and into the 90s and beyond into the early 2000s. And a lot of her work, it falls into 2 areas. One are biographies. She made dozens of biography films for Lifetime Channel and the Biography Channel. But she also did these very hard-hitting investigative journalistic work, looking at some of the kind of very kind of key problems that were happening in the US in the 1980s and 90s. And we'll be focusing mostly on those works in the Guggenheim Symposium. It should be a fascinating conversation. Washington Post Ann Hornaday will be talking with Lee Grant, so we invite you to come to the Guggenheim Symposium. So now I think, Claire, that we might have some questions.
We do. And we're gonna welcome back all the programmers on screen and our membership team as well. And we have a few questions that we've received in the Q&A. Again, if you have any questions that you want answered live in the session, go down to the bottom where it says Q&A and type in your question. Otherwise, we're always happy to answer questions through the membership email, membership@afi.com. But now, since you have an opportunity to ask the programmers directly, feel free to pop in your questions. So I'm going to start with a question a little more logistical, but I think might be helpful in people planning their schedule. If we could get a little bit more information on how to unlock a film, especially when it's available for 24 hours. Is that a certain time in the day, or is it 24 hours after you unlock the film?
Films are available for 24 hours, and it's a slate of films, of our feature films that will be, changing each day of the festival. So those are available from midnight to midnight on the days that they're presented. So that is one type of 24-hour windows. Also, any film that you unlock or watch, once you've unlocked it, you have 24 hours from that point to finish it. So that's also yet another 24-hour window that you have to, if you need to go back or you know, you get interrupted and want to go back and finish a film, and especially that's especially great if you're doing the episodics.
We have a question. If we could, the programmers could talk a little bit more about the forum. What is it, and what's programmed during it?
Sure, I'll take that. The forum is 5 days of panels, conversations, and industry meetings, and it's open to pass holders as well as individual tickets, or unlocks as we call them, are available. And so some of the topics, some of the panels or conversations are related to films in the lineup. So for instance, we do have the session on 1,000 Cuts with Maria Ressa, the subject of the film, and Ramona Diaz, the filmmaker. We have another session that brings together filmmakers and subjects from two of our films, Stockton on My Mind and Women in Blue, in what we think will be a very interesting conversation hosted by Meet the Press. And then we have other panels that are more geared toward kind of the art and craft of documentary filmmaking. So those are great for filmmakers as well as documentary enthusiasts.
Okay. Another question is, are the episodics also available for 24 hours? And again, do they need to be viewed in 24 hours?
So the episodics, the only one that is available on Saturday is And She Could Be Next. So if you unlock that film, the key is just to don't let it sit for, you know, more than 24 hours. Once you started watching it, you might have the potential of losing And She Could Be Next on Sunday, because after that 24-hour window, you're not going to be able to open it up again if it's on Sunday and you've closed it. So it's just making sure that you're not closing too many browsers and losing your movies. But the rest of the episodics, you know, they are available through the extended, the 18th through the 21st. It's just And She Could Be Next is Saturday only. And after Saturday, that's it.
Question about the special presentations, especially for closing night with Carter. Some questions about if there aren't tickets available now, will there be tickets available later? And why aren't they available?
Well, our special presentations are the high demand films, and so we monitor availability, and also this is give you a little look into putting together a virtual festival, is that, you know, we don't have theaters that are a set number of seats. So when you're on the ground and going to theaters, you're in a theater. It has just so many seats. And about that. That was Lee Grant calling me. I'll get back to her later. We're able to adjust the amount of views on a film, but it's already preset. You just need to be checking back. We release tickets on an ongoing basis. So just keep checking back, and we're kind of monitoring things, and we'll release tickets when we can. But yeah, check up until the day.
There's a couple questions on if we'll follow up with the email after this session with all the films that were listed and mentioned by the programmers. I think that's a great idea. Happy to do so. We recorded this session. We'll be sending it out to everyone, but we'll also highlight the films that were mentioned during this session. A question perhaps for Nicole and the membership team. The question is, how do I know if I have a pass?
That can be easily solved if you send me an email at membership@afi.com. We can look up your email, your name, your address, your phone number, and we will find out if you are an active member at AFI. And if not, I'd be happy to help you join.
Great. A member asks, do you have any New York City films for the coming week? I'm not sure if that's New York City thematically, but throwing it out there.
There are films that take place in New York City. I think Through the Night is based in New York City, and I think there are probably a few others.
Great.
Down and Out is also partially in New York. Down and Out in America.
Say that title again.
Down and Out in America.
Also within the shorts program, if you check out Elevator Pitch, it's specifically about the MTA ADA issues that are in the city.
Great. Another question is it critical to pre-order, or can you view the films last minute? And is there a maximum number of viewers for each film? And can you get locked out if you don't pre-order? I think Sarah might want to answer this one.
Oh yeah, I just saw that. That was a great question. I think that this is all new for everybody. So I think that that reminder is key. I think, you know, it is a little bit different to unlock something early, but the advantage of this is that if you sign up, if you do have a pass and you sign up for particular screenings, it will alert you to when that is unlocked and available. So it's kind of like setting your schedule ahead of time and it showing up in your inbox and you ready to go. So I would recommend it. And that way, you know, you do have an opportunity to see something, because we're not quite sure how popular some things are going to be on the day of, because this is also for us new.
Okay, great.
I don't know if Michael wants to add to that, but.
No, I'll just add, and I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, because like Sarah said, this is all new, but with the pass this year, you do need to select the films. You need to select what you're going to. It's not like at a festival where you can show up and show your pass and walk in. So that is something you need to do to get in. You could, if there's availability, you can do that at the last minute, or if you want to make sure you're going to get in, do it in advance.
I think we can quickly answer this one, but how will I know when someone's, you know, creating their own schedule, which films are already sold out versus which ones aren't sold out, which ones are available, which ones are sold out?
It will, I mean, it will be obvious when you get to that film page of the page where you go to unlock the films and also watch the films. If it's available, it'll say unlock, you know, and if it's not, it'll tell you. Yeah.
Great. I see a comment in the questions and asks, you know, can you give us a link to the fest schedule? Happy to do so in that follow-up email that we send out in the next couple of days. It's mentioned here that the website has a schedule from November. That might be perhaps the AFI Fest schedule you're looking at. So make sure to go to docs.afi.com to see the docs schedule and programming. Another question is, how many persons are allowed per film, and are some sold out already?
I'm sorry, how many what?
How many persons are allowed per film?
It varies. I mean, there are films that will be, that there's some that are like at 250. There are some films that are at like 1,500. And this is all kind of, you know, determined by kind of our discussing with the filmmakers and distributors as we're, you know, programming their films.
And I'll add that one of the benefits of it being a virtual festival is that you, in terms of number of people that can watch a film, once you unlock a film, as many people as you can fit on your couch can watch it. So kind of nice silver lining there.
Yeah, yeah.
Great. I think we covered most questions. I'll just keep it open for a couple more seconds in case anyone's typing a question in the meantime. Oh, I just got one in. All right. We're wondering, one of the members is wondering if there'll be any films that are on the topic of social stratification or authoritative misconduct in society, particularly abroad.
I definitely think 1,000 Cuts is an example of a populist president in a country, the Philippines, who has become an authoritarian figure and is running afoul of the rule of law. It's certainly also a cautionary tale for the United States. I think One Life, which I also talked about, speaks to abuses of power potentially, and certainly questionable alliances between the government and the military in Myanmar, and how that has led to the, you know, devastating consequences for the Rohingya people. Those are
I'd also add to that in Shorts Program 3, Do Not Split by Anders Hammer. It's a very harrowing and very intense doc that was filmed at sort of the height of the protests going on in Hong Kong last year. So I would, I can't recommend that short enough.
I'd like to add the film Coded Bias, which, while it's primarily about the struggles here in the US with corporations abusing facial recognitions and algorithms to invade our privacy in really kind of nefarious ways. It does also cover the ways in which that's being addressed in the UK and in China, or not addressed.
A question regarding the shorts program. Once someone unlocks one of the short programs, do they have to watch all the shorts at once, or can they, in the program, or can they watch one short at a time and then come back to it later?
They're available, so because the shorts programs are available throughout the festival starting the 18th, you can kind of, take your time watching a shorts program. They're in a specific order. We curated them that way. But you have some time from when you unlock it. It's, I think, 24 hours, and then you can watch all of those shorts programs throughout the entire festival.
And just echoing what Eric said too, it's definitely encouraged to watch them in order. Again, with the curation with that, but you can watch them however you'd like to.
A member is wondering, are we going to host any discussions between viewers and the filmmakers? And if so, what are those opportunities?
There will be opportunities for viewers and filmmakers to interact. Those will be part of the forum and other conversations that we have. I think that kind of a benefit of being a virtual festival that we've kind of realized putting this together is that we have so many more filmmakers that are participating because they don't all have to travel to Washington to be at the festival. We get a lot of filmmakers at the festival, but this year there was just significant participation from filmmakers, and so their Q&As and discussions with them, and they also will be in parts of the forum, are really great. So I encourage you to watch the films and also watch and join all of those discussions as part of the festival.
Great. I wanted to take one last question, which is, can someone go back and rewatch a film that you've already watched?
No, I believe that once you've watched it through, then it'll shut itself off.
However, our viewing price is about half of what our normal ticket price is. So, yeah. So it's you can watch it twice for the price of seeing a film in last year's festival.
There you go.
For our members, if there's any other questions that we haven't answered from the Q&A, we will follow up with you with an email just to answer your question. But otherwise, I just want to say thank you so much to our programmers who are here today. Thank you, members, for your interest in the festival and your ongoing support of AFI. Again, if you have any further questions, reach out to membership@afi.com. And thanks for all for being here, and we'll see you at AFI Docs. Bye.